Minecraft is a curious game. Or rather, Minecraft is a game with curious players. Because in a sandbox of boundless possibility where the only constraint is the limit of your own creativity, in a single game that contains multitudes, we as gamers still sort ourselves into discrete paths and playstyles. Minecraft builders, redstoners, and PvPers all exist side by side within the same game, with little lateral overlap. As the deeper into each discipline you go, the more apparent it becomes that each field has spawned a totally different stratosphere of creators, each ecosystem host to its own dense, inaccessibly technical flavor of jargon. The idea of there being cobweb and bone meal PvP metas would be as strange and alienating to a redstoner as tea flip-flops and hopper clocks are to a builder. Long ago, these nations lived in harmony, but with each new polarizing addition to the game and each new update, at least one of these factions finds cause to complain because not every new feature provides utility to every single separate group of Minecrafter. To me, though, this fraught ecosystem of mostly separate disciplines raises a singular question to mind. If all of these different identities compose the singular game of Minecraft, then who's the Minecraft avatar? Who, in short, is the greatest Minecraft player of all time? Not the greatest Minecraft PvPer of all time, or builder of all time, or redstoner of all time, but the greatest Minecraft player of all time. Across the board, top to bottom, what single solitary player most completely exemplifies everything this game is, does, means, and stands for? Well, that's a more complicated question to answer. Unfortunately, greatest is a superlative and there can be only one. And that's where I come in. Folks, I've done the research. I've crunched the numbers, I've calculated the calculations, I've pored over the lore in countless volumes of text, and after completing this empirical meta-analysis, it is my humble opinion that of the untold millions upon millions of players to pick up the game of Minecraft, the single most comprehensively complete player of all time, and the best to ever do it is... drumroll please. Pause for effect.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hoy Me Crave.
It's Bdubs. It's Bdubs. It's Bdubs. It's just Bdubs. You knew it. You knew it. You knew it. I mean, you had to know it, right? You had to. Come on. You knew on account of the thumbnail being Bdubs that I was going to say it's Bdubs the whole time because it's Bdubs. It's so clearly Bdubs. It's Bdubs. It's just Bdubs. It's Bdubs. B000100 is kind of hard to describe to someone who doesn't already get his whole thing.
You know, there are some really, really good builders out there, but I'm the best. I'm the best of all. No.
He's a Minecraft builder who's probably best known for the Paw Patrol and Minecraft adventure videos he made with his daughters. That's probably going to be his legacy on the platform, if we're being brutally honest here, and if that's all you knew him from, you'd probably think he was just a normal, insane individual, just like a nice dad or something. And to be fair, he is, and to be fair, he did look pretty normal and sane at one point. I think it's kind of hard to remember now, but then he went through like a whole character arc thing, and some stuff happened, and he somehow flanderized himself and his persona into becoming this jangling, sprunkly, egotistical little fool with a penchant for Stephen Brule-esque comedic mispronunciations.
Let's see what we got in here. Ringo!
Bone meal.
A permanent smile stretched across his face, and a pair of powerful, gigantic, bug-like insectoid multi-segmented compound peepers capable of seeing a full 360 degrees and also staring straight into the very depths of your soul. Oh, now they blink at you too, so, you know. There's that too, which is nice. But when you really think about it, it's not really that much of a surprise to see Bdubs going off the deep end, especially since he's been staring at the same pixelated blocks and mobs for over a decade now. Yes, the name of Bdubs' game is consistency, and he's been around for almost as long as Minecraft itself has. I only discovered his channel upon his return to Hermitcraft in Season 6, where immediately upon his arrival he built an entire castle out of diorite, which at the time was my least favorite block in the game. Today, almost 5 years later, diorite is now one of my favorite blocks in the game, solely because of the way Bdubs used and still continues to use it in his various builds. When I saw this for the first time, I just knew this guy was something special. He made me like the bird poop block. That takes a special level of talent and artistry to accomplish. And for the entirety of his YouTube career, Bdubs has been building on those talents, honing his skills, and adapting to the changing world of Minecraft in between updates. His content has changed, and he's dabbled in a little bit of everything, from different game modes and a limited run series here and there to mods and custom-made texture packs of his own design. But the one thing that stayed constant, despite it all, is Bdubs himself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I made it go. Whoops. Uh-oh. I'm gonna crash!
His sense of humor is a little erratic and unhinged at times, sure, but there's a sort of pleasant predictability in the particular nature of its erraticism. The chaos is itself what you come to expect.
Excuse me, good sir. Have you ever heard of Raycon?
Have I heard of Raycon? Yeah, Raycon these leaves out of my yard.
Plus, given the way that games like Minecraft are often rife for exploitation due to the assumed youth of the viewing audience, I think that Bdubs exists in the perfect sort of sweet spot for a Minecraft content creator. He plays a truly peculiar little creature on our screens, but we still know enough about the man behind the persona to recognize him and his struggles as human. And yet, even in spite of that, there's still a respectful distance between us and him, a boundary that he's taken great care to cultivate. It's the way it should be done, quite frankly, and in spite of his lengthy career, for Bdubs, it's kept the curious creature of controversy to a minimum. Well, except for the time he learned what shipping is, but we don't talk about that.
Okay. Oh. They take our personas, and whether it's through artwork or story, they put us in a relationship.
So, now that you hopefully have a better idea of who this crazy character is...
Watch this. Poo, pee. There we go. And I've written it and I've thought about that.
I think it's time to make my case as to why I believe he's the greatest to ever do it. And in order to understand that, we have to first break down all of the different functions of the game of Minecraft at which one might be considered the GOAT. As established in the introduction, we'll be going over the 3 core functions of modern Minecraft: combat, redstone, and building, but with a secret 4th factor thrown in: impact. You can call it what you want: aura, vibes, energy, brand, X factor, je ne sais quoi, kavorka. This 4th and final category is for the intangible assets of a creator's persona, the things they contribute to the community that extend beyond merely their skills at the game. It could be the way their content is presented, it could be the impact they've had on the community, or the impact on the game at large. But if you're going to be the greatest of all time, you have to be larger than life. And I think that analyzing the subjective impact of Bdubs' objectively observable skills should produce some interesting results, or at the very least, interesting analysis and extrapolation. So, without further ado, let's start this video essay off strong by showcasing one of Bdubs' greatest strengths at the game of Minecraft.
Looks like the hammer just found a nail. What an embarrassment.
I present to you, the viewing audience at home, for your viewing pleasure, Exhibit A of Bdubs' flawless combat prowess.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. The next arena awaits you unless you cannot wait. Good luck trying to fight me.
Okay.
And proceeding forward
You're missing a
to the next. You shall not pass. Not today. I will. Yes, I survive. You fight each other for me. Hey, don't go through.
And he's
There we go.
Flash.
Did you see that? Did you see that right there? That clip is so magnificent that it needs no further explanation. His incredible mastery over both sword and shield should be self-evident, if you're not some kind of squab. But I like hearing the sound of my own voice, so I'm going to explain why this clip proves Bdubs is the best at PvP anyways.
Ooh. Careful, Bdubs. Careful. There's a drop right there.
It's very tempting to say that someone wearing mismatched chainmail armor who hides behind a shield during the simplest of PvE encounters isn't good at video game combat. I would even go so far as to say that I understand that temptation. But I would still contend, regardless, that you are wrong, and stupid, actually, and your brain is small, because this, literally this, the way that Bdubs is handling this fight is exactly how Minecraft's combat system is intended to be played. The combat of Minecraft was meant to be bare bones, completely stripped down to the simplest set of raw functionality. It's window dressing, a means to an end by which the sandbox of your world is explored. When designing the combat system, Minecraft didn't intend for the mechanics of critical hits and crystals to be used to start what could essentially be equated to a fight club. But because this game can be anything we want it to be, they were. And now, thanks to that, we have whatever CPvP is. I don't know. My little brother says that and it makes me feel old. The core principles of the game have been completely split open and rent apart in order to turn modern PvP into what it's become. Doing so, however, is deeply aberrant behavior. The current PvP meta is meant to push this system of combat to its absolute peak, to try and turn it into something that it very definitively is not. Bdubs, however, exists comfortably within the limitations of the system without any need to chafe against them. He's content to use it as it was intended, which means that for him, every face-to-face with even the most average of hostile mobs is a terrifying battle for his life. Just look into those big, cartoonishly adorable eyes. Look at him batting those eyelashes at you. Isn't he cute? Isn't he cute? But seriously though, imagine seeing the world through those eyes, those big, beautiful eyes. Imagine bravely venturing into a ravine as B00-100, where danger lurks in the darkness and the falling of night is always a cause for concern. The chasm yawns before you, dark and deep, monsters on all sides hissing and screeching at you ominously, threatening to destroy your beautiful, beautiful builds. And the worst part? You can't even see them because your brightness is set to 30. What profound wonder and whimsy he must see through those eyes. I know a lot of people who often sit back and lament the loss of the feeling of that first night in Minecraft, the paranoia from back when you didn't know what was out there, back when you were still scared of the monsters in the game. But just look at Bdubs. 10 years on, over a decade into playing this game, and he's the only one still scared of the dark. Maybe that means he knows something we don't. Maybe, just maybe, his way of combat is the right way. Maybe it was all along.
Redstone with Bdubs!
Bdubs is perhaps best known as a master redstoner. He even has a whole show about how good at redstone he is. It's called Redstone with Bdubs, and as much as this segment has become something of a running gag, I do genuinely think that he's good at doing redstone. Much like when it comes to Minecraft combat, though, he's not necessarily good in a conventional way.
As you can see, it's a fairly complex system that utilizes a dropper and hopper randomizer. Now, in a case like this, it was tight quarters, and I had some very specific...
That sounds sort of backhanded, but you have to keep in mind the conventional definition of good in Redstone is intrinsically linked to efficiency, meaning goodness is judged solely upon productivity and not fitness for purpose. But, in my opinion, the best redstone in the game is simply the redstone that does what it was intended to. The purpose of a thing, after all, is what it does. Best, too often, is a title awarded to the most productive, the highest drop rates, the most streamlined and efficient this game has to offer. But the needs of a builder differ from the needs of a redstoner, and the mileage a builder would get from a hyper-efficient but garish and ungainly farm is obviously going to vary. Once again, rebuking the paradigm of the day, Bdubs is the best at doing redstone because his redstone works for him. Bdubs builds redstone that does what he needs it to do, and most importantly, he builds it himself, just fiddling around with the components until something actually happens just as the developers intended. Using his staggeringly genius prowess and absolutely no help whatsoever, thank you very much, he cooks up all sorts of silly little machines and contraptions with only the occasional snag or mechanical mishap along the way. but because he's Bdubs and he's the one doing the redstone, he always knows it'll fit the footprint he needs it to and that the function will be paired with the form factor he desires. He's more of a Minecraft general contractor, obviously, but he's still got a few electrician's tricks tucked up his sleeve, and he might still surprise you. I think the best example of why Bdubs' approach to redstone works, for me anyways, is the mud cube maker in a single-player world, or maybe the distillery from Season 10 of Hermitcraft. The former fits perfectly with the aesthetic of his industrial zone, and it perfectly balances the right degree of automation, the instantaneous conversion of dirt to mud, with enough manual labor, with like the shoveling of the mud cube, to really feel like there's some work of significance being done. And the same goes for his brewing setup too. I hate potion making in Minecraft. It always feels like such a chore, but the way that Bdubs has his brewery set up, with row after row of these little machines with just the right amount of automation to make distilling less painful while still making you feel like you're a master craftsman, it's just too good, man. It takes the teeth-pulling pain out of managing the more tedious aspects of the process. It has the appearance and feel of an actual distillery. It puts you in the shoes of an expert brewery man bottling some sumptuous beverage or potion. There's not a single wasted block in terms of functionality. The process is stripped down to its barest bones, so it still looks pretty. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect redstone. The little bottle filler? For me, absolutely perfect, and I say that without the slightest trace of irony. You can't tell me it's not flawless. I feel like Bdubs and his building style can best be described as jazz-like. That in of itself is a weightless comparison, so here's a better example of what I mean. In Season 7 of Hermitcraft, he starts experimenting with double-thick walls to give the interior of his starter house a fresh coat of wallpaper that differentiates it from the exterior. Sometime later, on a single-player world, he realizes that he can use the double-thick walls to give his windows an extra dimension of detail, because if you put two different colors of glass panes on both sides, it creates a glass pane that looks like it's half the width of a block. Do you see what I mean? The second discovery doesn't happen without the first. There's a progression of ideas here. It's kinetic, it's constantly in motion. The process and approach are changing as he does. Everything is in flux, and he's building a medley in real time. That's how this man approaches the game. He's constantly building on what he's done before, finding new ways to work in techniques and instruments and fuse them together in unexpected ways. He uses blocks as raw elements of texturing for their color or exposure value for shading, to give even flat surfaces an additional layer of depth. And it goes beyond just that. He's fusing together disciplines too. Now, he's bringing in elements of composition and line of sight from photography and painting, trying to capture more complex effects in the moving image of the game, using player as camera, painstakingly placing each tree, mossy stone, and babbling brook for the optimum level of parallax. There's no wild grass fertilized with brone meal here, not when every single fern and flower was purposefully placed. This level of detail is absurdly meticulous, and it's the type of care and craftsmanship that can only be described as singular. When you're watching movies, the phrase "every frame of painting" gets thrown around a lot. But when you see something like Barry Lyndon for the first time, you suddenly realize that the phrase "every frame of painting" absolutely applies, just only to the absolute best, the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop of the visual arts, to craftsmen at the absolute apex of their medium. And I think, if I might be so bold, that Bdubs is worthy of such distinction. What makes Bdubs great isn't just that he finds new ways to use blocks, but the way in which he takes techniques and philosophies discovered by others and synthesizes them with his own unique style to take it all to the next level. I made a joke earlier in the video during the combat section about him having his brightness set to 30, but all jokes aside, on a whim I actually tried out that suggestion myself, and I've never gone back. The amount of shadow, darkness, depth, and intrigue it adds to the game without even needing so much as a single shader is genuinely surreal. It's the little things just like that, and they all add up. Even in videos where Bdubs is only sarcastically claiming to have revolutionized the building game because he knows that some strange, silly weirdos out there, and I'm one of them, genuinely believe that he's revolutionized the art of building in Minecraft, he's still dropping genuine gems of advice beneath that smiling veneer of sarcasm. But most importantly of all, he's not afraid to take big swings, because if you swing big, you're gonna miss big. And sometimes he does. Sometimes a bit of texturing is too noisy for his liking, or a shape or silhouette is too cluttered, or a build just doesn't turn out right. But he'll let it stand, learn from it what he can, and keep moving forward at a relentlessly positive pace. And while we're on the topic of that iconic, unflappable facade of positivity Bdubs puts up, I can't even begin to tell you how many nonsense Bdubsisms I've integrated into my own train of thought to try and encourage more positive self-talk. If I ever completely bungle something, I just go, oh, perfect job, me, in his broken English style, and over time, that sarcasm turns into sincerity. It actually sort of helps in a weird way.
I'm trying to reinforce, like, it's good to say good things about yourself and be proud of yourself when you do a good job for you, you know? I joke about the best builder in the world thing. I joke, that's totally a joke, obviously. But this is maybe the best build I've ever done for me. So I think I'm right to be proud of that. And I'm the best builder in the world.
But I've been showing you so many builds by Bdubs that I'm worried you're missing the Bdubs forest for the Bdubs trees, if you catch my drift. You need a point of comparison, a palate cleanser to stop your taste buds from getting blown out by too much bombardment all at once, so you can actually appreciate true art. So, here's a cathedral that I built in survival, pretty much exclusively because I wanted to try out the glazed terracotta and glow lichen technique Bdubs showcased for stained glass windows with his dye shop. I mean, it's okay, right? It's okay. I don't want to make too many excuses for myself, but for a smaller to medium-sized build constructed with very limited early game resources, only iron tools, and no mouse, it's not too bad. It's not too shabby. I mean, the shaping is off, the front facade is too flat, the texturing needs more work since I ran out of calcite and don't have any quartz, but you get it. You get it, right? Okay, so you've seen that, right? Now, look at this cathedral using a similar block palette that B000100 built. For horses. That's right. This Minecraft horse building is better than my building for people. Realizing that your best effort is no better than a glorified stable constructed by a master craftsman is the sort of revelation that can frankly break a person. And coming to this realization, you can do one of two things. You can either dropkick your computer off of a cliff into the ocean and never play Minecraft again, or you can grit your teeth, embrace the pain, and struggle to get better. And that right there is the secret to Bdubs' impact. His impact on Hermitcraft and the game of Minecraft as a whole is that he's so good at building that he makes you want to be better. He builds so good that it brings people together. Take the Bdubs courthouse, for example. It's got so much character, there's a pretension of importance to it, yet it's also very municipal and utilitarian thanks to its monochromatic color scheme. And then the instant you walk inside, the reason why the front of it feels like the facade of a film set whacks you right in the face. Because it's a fantastic build. There's so many fun little tricks he employs on every level of its construction. Hey, look over there, there's those double thick windows and walls I told you about earlier. And there's the subtle effect of the lighting filtering into the windows at sundown if you have your brightness set down to 30. See how everything comes back together full circle with this guy? I told you it would. I told you it would. Ultimately, though, the Bdubs courthouse is just a building. It's empty without people inside of it. But it's such a good building that it makes people want to gather there, just to gawk at that regal, imposing facade in awe. And it's this building and the idea of this building spawned from the brain of the man who built it that gave us the trial of Doc M77. Personally, I anticipate that the famous infant esophagus defense will be making its way into the covered curriculum of every law school textbook worth its salt, just as soon as the latest editions finish their already pending rewrites following the overturning of Chevron.
I will serve them to the snails for you. Sure. I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that. Holds out hand.
Oh, sorry. Your hands. Okay, sorry. Here, there.
Holds out hand. Well, yep, I got the papers now. But
I thought you said hold out hand. That meant give me the papers.
No, I'm holding out my hand.
Do you need some change?
Yeah.
somehow I'm a judge.
You don't get that instantly iconic big baby moment without Bdubs Courthouse. And you don't get Bdubs Courthouse without Bdubs. Skiz and Joe argued their hearts out, debated and cross-examined like they were fighting to determine the trial of the century when they were only hired to represent the parties in a simple tort case. But you know what created that mood in the courtroom? The courtroom itself. Because Bdubs, ever the master, knows that atmosphere is absolutely everything. That moment was an incredibly cool creative collaboration between so many different hermits, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone here because they all brought so much to the table. Cleo, Doc, Skiz, Joe, Ren, Beef, and even False Symmetry. But it was Bdubs who built the stage for them to perform on, set the scene for the trial. That's his impact. There's this rapper I like, another guy who, much like Bdubs, is famously known for being not short. Nope, not short, definitely not short at all. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? And there's a line he wrote in a song he's on, this feature on a Big Sean track way back in 2013 called Control. You know, the one that goes...
Miscellaneous minds, never explaining the minds. Devilish grin for my aliens who respond. Peddling sin, thinking maybe when you get old you realize I'm not gonna fold or demise.
Yeah, that's it, that's the song. Anyways, there's this line in there where he's talking about who the greatest MC of all time is, and he starts rattling off the names of his predecessors and contemporaries, men he knows and loves and respects, and he may or may not have said one of those names just a little bit more aggressively and incredulously and venomously than he did with all the others, and that may or may not have quietly been the real, actual, factual beginning of a recent feud he was embroiled in that you may or may not be familiar with.
Drake!
But that's a whole other tangent, so I digress. Because the point of Kendrick listing all those names becomes abundantly clear when, exactly 2 lines later, he says the following.
I got love for you all, but I'm trying to earn you. Trying to make sure your core fans never heard of you. They don't want to hear not one more noun or verb from you. What is competition? I'm trying to raise the bar high. Who's trying to jump and get it? You're a better off trying to skydive out the exit window with 5G5s with 5 grand.
Now, I'm not trying to say that Bdubs is anywhere near as braggadocious or aggressively competitive when it comes to his own talents, even though sometimes he pretends to be. In fact, every time he lets the mask of his persona slip, he's always revealed to be effortlessly self-effacing, humble, and relentlessly dissatisfied with his own work. He's his own harshest critic, and that's why he's constantly improving by leaps and bounds, because he's only competing against himself. The man has no enemies.
If you're just at the top, you got nowhere else to go, so it's boring. But when you find other people that are way better than you, it gives you something to strive for, you know?
I mention all of this, though, simply to say the following. Much like K-Dot, whenever Bdubs steps up to the plate, regardless of any effort or intention to do so on his part, he is consistently the guy setting the bar. In a class full of inspired creators, architects, engineers, and builders in their own right, Bdubs himself is a boundless wellspring of inspiration. He is the quintessential builder's builder, and that's why he's the GOAT.
Just absolutely incredible. Every single block, it adds to the build. If you took anything away, it would miss it. And that's really hard to do. I am so impressed with this. And just adding that purple in there, I would never add purple to this build. Sorry, I'm going to stop gushing over Bdubs' building skills, or painting skills, whatever you want to call it. Just amazing. Just incredible.
I have never seen custom trees like this in vanilla. This is something else, dude.
The guy just sees things that other people don't.
Dude, it's moments like this that I just think about quitting Minecraft and going back into an office.
No, you need to channel this energy.
Never in a million years could I ever do something like this, man. This is just insane. The feels in here, dude, the vibes. It feels like I'm in a forest. I can smell the pine.
Dude, this just inspires me to try harder.
Bdubs, this is awesome.
Hey, thank you.
That's amazing. Stop it.
I must say.
There's a moment during a sorta, kinda, maybe fairly not really recent Hermitcraft server tour put together by Joe Hills that perfectly exemplifies what I'm talking about here, where a big group of all the hermits gather together to meander around each other's bases and see what progress they've been making so far this season. And there's this moment where Bdubs is taking the whole touring party through the forest, and he's explaining his messy little starter house area to everyone, and while he's talking away in the background, Gemini Tay, who is an absolutely phenomenal builder in her own right, by the way, and her base this season is easily one of my favorites so far, just starts staring off into the forest with this dumbstruck little grin of abject awe on her face. And I get it, because that's exactly how I looked when I saw the forest for the first time too. Bdubs builds his bamboo shop, and everyone else raises an entire city block in the same aesthetic around it. Bdubs builds a tree, and custom foliage is suddenly in vogue. Bdubs builds a billboard, and every other neo-future cyberpunk builder on the server takes notes. Bdubs builds a courthouse, and defines the footprint and style of the entire municipal district in the process. Now, don't get me wrong, no man is an island. Bdubs isn't some sort of monolith.
Monolith!
Yeah, that. Thank you. He's not a monolith. He's inspired as much by his peers as they are by him. They are, after all, a community, and they're all inspiring and motivating each other to up their game, teaching each other new tips and tricks in the process. It's a mutual thing. There's give and there's take. And that's a big part of why I think Bdubs is the best, because he's constantly putting over others and sharing his sincere appreciation for the art form.
When I was testing these out,
yes,
the first thing that came to my mind was Bdubs when I figured out how to bring the light down the trunk.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, I gotta show this to Bdubs, you'll love it. He's like, I'm like, who will appreciate this? Bdubs will appreciate this.
I will appreciate this.
But in a game now over a decade old, I'm hard-pressed to think of anyone that, for my money, makes stuff that still genuinely excites me and excites everyone like Bdubs does. He's your favorite builder's favorite builder. He's even his favorite builder's favorite builder. I could wax poetic about the impact he's had all day, about how on the Hermitcraft server everyone is constantly pushing each other to the absolute peak of their abilities, working together in tandem, proving why they're the best to do it in the game, which only makes Bdubs even better because they bring out the best in one another, but I think I've said enough. In fact, I think I've said my piece. At this point, you either agree with me when I say that Bdubs is the best to ever do it, or you don't. And if you don't, well, that's okay. Because, and I've been saying this since the literal first upload on the channel, people, the title of greatest Minecraft player of all time is completely subjective. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh boy, here we go again. First video back, and Frostbyte Freeman's already breaking out the it's all subjective, this is just a dumb block game, everybody's a winner shtick again. What a cheap cop-out. But Frostbyte, doesn't that devalue the entire thesis of the supposed video essay we just launched? Shut up. Just shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut your face. I know it's hacky, and I know it sounds like a cat poster, but it's true. Just ask any avid fan of basketball where the Braun versus Jordan debate is currently getting relitigated mimetically for the millionth time. The GOAT debate isn't one that's ever definitively going to be won. It's not a debate that's ever going to be over. And at least over there in sports, there's statistics and numbers and some semblance of quote-unquote empirical data to make it seem like the conclusions you come to are ostensibly objective. But Minecraft is a sandbox game. There's no numerical, quantifiable way to determine who the best player of all time is, because what statistics would you even use? Blocks placed? Ores mined? YouTube video views accumulated? I don't think that last one is a particularly good indicator of quality, both of content and the person making it. I think past precedent supports that view pretty clearly. So then how can you quantify greatness? How can you distill it down to its mathematical essence in a game mathematically designed to have a numberless amount of different possibilities and playstyles? You can't. So you don't even try. Bdubs is the best there is, to me, because he exemplifies what I view to be the most important aspect of the game. You build a thing. It turns out okay. There's some stuff you like, some stuff you don't. So you go back to the drawing board. You take the lessons and techniques you learned, you find inspiration from the art of others, and you channel it into something new. And the next time, you do a little better. And you keep going. And Bdubs has kept going For almost as long as this game has been around, for over a decade of his life, YouTube and even Minecraft itself has been building right along with Bdubs, growing and changing and evolving as he has, and through it all, through personal triumph and personal tragedy, he's just kept building. Bdubs is the Bob Ross of this art form, and it is an art form because while he's not, in his own estimation, the best builder of all time, what he has done is show you and me and everyone that with enough time and effort and patience, you too can experience the joy of building, the supreme satisfaction of placing that final brick in the wall. Bdubs is an artist, and the entire blocky world of Minecraft is the canvas upon which he imposes his will. He shapes the world by his hand, and by his hand, it is made beautiful. That's why Bdubs is the greatest of all time in my eyes. That right there. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. He doesn't have to be yours, though, and that's fine. Your GOAT can be someone else, and that's fine too. To you, the greatest of all time could be Grian or Mumbo for introducing you to the wide world of Hermitcraft as they did for so many. It could be Good Times with Scar for his wonderfully whimsical terraforming, fantastical sensibilities, and immaculately crafted build lore. It could be DocM77 for the way he's become one of the most prominent Redstone figures in Minecraft by consistently choosing to uplift the voices of other Redstone mines, platforming them to make the technical community more accessible to the layman. To you, the GOAT could be Pearlescent Moon for pushing the shape, scale, and selection of blocks in this game to new heights, and by always finding new ways to sprinkle in the littlest pops of color in a world that by and large favors more naturalistic tones in building. It could be Tango Tech for making not one, but 2 different incarnations of Decked Out, and for pushing the game-making potential of the game of Minecraft itself to its very limits through both building and redstone in conjunction, and all while staying entirely within vanilla. In fact, it could be pretty much any one of the Hermits. I'd argue that they all have pretty strong GOAT cases. But, again, to you, the greatest of all time might not even hail from Hermitcraft, and that's okay too. They could be someone from Hermitcraft, or Psycraft, or The Bakery, or one of the other nigh endless number of new servers and SMPs that keep popping up by the day. It could be Nembon, or Ending Credits for the way they've downright revolutionized what was even thought possible through Redstone. It could be Dan TDM and Etho, or Joel Smallish Beans and Lizzie LD Shadow Lady for single-handedly carrying your childhood. It could be Technoblade for the immaculately curated catalog of content he's left behind, expansive in its variety yet singular in its tone, and all of it forever immortalized, along with the Blood God himself for exhibiting inhuman bravery under the direst of circumstances. It could be Scott S. Major for creating an event like MCC in conjunction with Nox Crew that helps bring together an entire community's worth of creators for a good cause. It could be a modder or a TikToker, a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer. Or it might not even be any of those names either, and that's okay too, because to you, the greatest Minecraft player might not even be a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or a TikToker or a content creator at all. It could be a more experienced sibling who held your hand and helped you explore the blocky subterranean caves of Minecraft for the first time, fending off the mobs for you while you mined all the diamonds. Or it could be an old friend who first introduced you to the game and whose building style you could never quite emulate, never quite catch up to. It could be a partner or a parent or someone that no one's ever even heard of before, because all the examples I've already given are fellow content creators. But that's only because to perceive, one must be perceived, and that means there's inherently going to be a blind spot in discourse like this that's biased towards creators with public personas over the unknown, unsung heroes that feature in the thread of our own lives, that bind together our own experiences with our own Minecraft worlds. And if you ask me, it's those little stories, the little ones, the humble, unassuming ones, the ones that really matter, the ones about ordinarily extraordinary people woven into the fabric of how we all found this wonderful game and how it changed our lives, that make Minecraft truly great. So, if you wouldn't mind, or if you feel so inclined, leave a comment down below telling me who you think the greatest Minecraft player of all time is, because I'm curious to hear all of your stories and see your perspective on the matter. And whoever you think the greatest of all time is, be sure to let them know too. They'll probably appreciate it more than you can ever possibly know. But for now, that's enough yapping from me. I'm Frostbyte Freeman, and until next time, stay frosty. Thanks for watching.